I am Supervisor Peter Parsons, and I call to order the Town of Lewisboro Town Organizational Meeting of January 11th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. Before I go further, I want to confirm that Joel has started recording this meeting in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order number 202.1. This meeting is being conducted via Zoom. That link has been provided to the public so they can view the meeting, and we have confirmed that the feed is active and working. I have confirmed with Janet, our town clerk, that the meeting has been duly noticed and legal notice requirements fulfilled. Notice has been placed on the Town of Lewisboro website and included in the email distributions from the town. With me on this Zoom conference meeting for the Town of Lewisboro are members of the town board, Jane Crimmins, Tony Gonsalves, Dan Welch, and Rich Sclaren. We have a quorum and can vote. Actually, is Dan Welch here?
Not yet.
He's having trouble getting in, but I just...
Okay, I'll retreat on Dan Welch, but we still have a quorum. We also have Town Attorney Greg Folchetti. We have Town Clerk Janet Donahue, Joel Smith, Facilities Maintenance Director. Resident at the public comments periods, we ask that only the following persons be permitted to speak: residents of the Town of Lewisboro or Katona Lewisboro School District, owners of property in the Town of Lewisboro, employees of the Town of Lewisboro. If you want to speak during the public hearing or make a public comment, please raise your hand at the appropriate time. To do that, if you are on Zoom, put your cursor at the bottom of the window and you should see an image of people labeled participants. Click on that to get a panel on the right-hand side with icons at the bottom. You can then raise hand. Participants who have raised their hand will show up on the host screen in the order that they have raised their hand. The host will then unmute you and tell you that you have the floor. You may also have to unmute yourself if your microphone isn't active. We are also asking that your video be off during the duration of the meeting and only turned on when invited to speak. If you dialed in on a phone, you can raise your hand to indicate you want to talk by pressing *9. We will ask people to give their name and which hamlet they live in upon entering, and to keep their comments to 2 minutes. Our town clerk will be keeping time, and you will hear a timer at the end of 2 minutes. If someone is disrespectful or uses profanity at this meeting, they will be asked to leave the virtual meeting, just as they would be asked to leave a physical meeting. Please remember that your camera is on and profanity will not be tolerated in any form, including gestures and acronyms. Now, please stand with me to say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I've got a couple of things to say before the meeting begins. First of all, I'm not sure who we would be addressing if we issued a statement or a resolution concerning the attack on the Capitol in Washington. Rebellion and revolution are by definition chaotic. That is their purpose. So the originators do not give a damn what the town board of Lewisboro says. We are the enemy because we represent order. My own hope is that this attack will provide a catharsis which will provide a launching pad for President-elect Biden to unify the country. And however he decides to go about that, I think that the best that we can do is to support him in that effort. Next, COVID-19 is on most of our minds. Lewisboro is back to 63 active cases, about the same as we were 10 days after Thanksgiving and again after Christmas. Not good. South Salem has 56 cases, Pound Ridge 33, Bedford 170, and Somers 245.
Peter, I think you meant to say North Salem, not South Salem.
Oh, yes, I did mean to say North Salem has 56. Bedford 170, Pound Ridge 33, and Somers 245. On a per capita basis, we are doing better than North Salem, Bedford, and Somers, and about the same as Pound Ridge. What that really means is that we have to go on doing our best to obey the rules, to wear masks, to maintain social distancing, and to use our common sense about how we live under this cloud until the vaccine is everywhere. At the moment, it is far from everywhere. The state, in an effort to accelerate vaccinations, has increased those who are eligible. Like most moves of this kind, its immediate result is some confusion. But I am confident that within 10 days or so, we will see real and dramatic progress. At the moment, we have to be very patient as we try to figure out when we as individuals can get the vaccine. Finally, as we go into the organization meeting, I would like to take a moment to say thank you to retiring members of the various committees. Betsy Barnett and Kenneth Ofsesser from the Conservation Advisory Council, Richard Sclarin from the Planning Board, and Elizabeth Myers-Gross, who is not retiring from sustainability, but is retiring as chairman. All of these people have worked hard in their jobs, and they've earned our respect. All right, let's move on to the basic organizational meeting. And if I can find the script. Oh. Can you hear me? No.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's just that I've lost the screen.
We see you though.
You can see me?
Yes.
And I can't see anybody. Well,
I'll send Joel up.
All right. There are vacancies on the following committees: the Conservation Advisory Council, the Cable TV Committee, and the Housing Committee. Anybody who may be interested in serving on one of these committees should send a resume along with a letter of intent to Mary Hafter, benefits@lewisboro.gov.com. I would like to make a motion, and I'm going to ask Jane to second it, to approve staff appointments as one motion as written. All in favor?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed. Oh, thanks. Advisory Committee for the Disabled resolved that Peter Beardsley, Alexandra Morris, and Dean Travellino are hereby reappointed as members of the Advisory Committee for the Disabled for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Antenna Advisory Board on resolved that Neil Berman is hereby appointed as a member of the Antenna Advisory Board for a 5-year term ending December 31st, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Board of Assessment Review. Resolved that Richard D. Ferrarone is hereby appointed as a member of the Board of Assessment Review for a 5-year term ending September 30, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Cable TV Committee. Resolved that Glenda Favor and James Dodge III are hereby reappointed to the Cable TV Committee for a 3-year term ending December 31st, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Conservation Advisory Council. Resolved that Bob Sullivan and Valencia Ondes are reappointed to the Conservation Advisory Council for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2022. Do I have a second?
I'm happy to second, but I just want to check on the math of the years. It looks like we're doing it as if we appointed them in 2020. Right? Oh, I see. Never mind. Sorry. I second. I see.
Good. I was wondering how to go back to.
I know. Sorry. I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Emergency Management Committee. Resolved that David Alfano, Robert Feroce, Barbara Mangione, and Jennifer During hereby are reappointed to the Emergency Management Committee for 2-year terms expiring in December 31st, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Housing Committee. Resolved that Priscilla Page, Linda Ray, and Jane Lindau are hereby reappointed to the Housing Committee for 2-year terms ending December 31st, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Open Space and Preserves Advisory Committee. Resolved that Callie Bauer, Greg Monteleone, Joanne Hickey, Mike Ferrara, Michael Serdej, and Tim Farrow are hereby reappointed members of the Open Space and Preserves Advisory Committee for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2022. Do I have a second?
I second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Parks and Recreation Advisory Council. Resolved that Bill Pink, Barbara Granata, Jennifer Kair, Mike Harris, and Peter DeVittorio are hereby reappointed members of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Council for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2022. And Daniela Goldman and Melissa Le Sauvage are reappointed as associate members of the Park and Recreation Advisory Council for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Stormwater Management Committee. Resolved that Joel Smith, Peter Rippinger, Janet Anderson, Paul Lewis are hereby reappointed members of the Stormwater Management Committee for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sustainability Committee. Resolved that Jessica Gallagher is hereby reappointed as a member of the Sustainability Committee for a 2-year term expiring December 31st, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
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 Veterans Advisory Committee. Resolved that John Lemke is hereby appointed a member of the Veterans Advisory Committee for a 2-year term expiring December 31, 2022. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
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 Zoning Board of Appeals. Resolved that Todd Rendo is hereby reappointed as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals for a 5-year term expiring December 31st, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I would like to make a motion to appoint the following chairpersons of committees and councils. Advisory Committee for the Disabled, Lori Leddy. Antenna Advisory Board, Joseph New. Architectural and Community Appearance Review Council, Rose Bonanno. Board of Assessment Review, Lawrence A. Mandelker. Cable Television Advisory Committee, Dean Travellino. Conservation Advisory Council, John Wolfe. Emergency Management Committee, Adam Oakes and Tony Gonsalves as his deputy. Housing Committee, Jane Lindau. Landmarks Advisory Committee, Theodore Strauss. Open Space and Preserves Committee, Greg Monteleone. Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, Ian Harris. Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee, Danielle Greenberg. Planning Board, Janet Anderson. Stormwater Management Committee, Paul Lewis. Sustainability Committee, Robert Fishman. Veterans Advisory Committee, John Lemke. Zoning Board of Appeals, Robin Price. Tony?
I second.
Yeah, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Tony, I was actually suggesting you take over at this point.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sure. Procurement, appointments, approvals and authorizations, procurement policy. Let's see, resolved that the town board has adopted an amended procurement policy as of October 24th, 2016, and said policy should be reviewed by the town board on an annual basis. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Authorizing of attendance at conferences and meetings. Resolved that authorization be given for in-state travel to the supervisor, town board members, and other municipal officials and employees for attendance at annual meetings and training sessions, and be it further resolved that said municipal officials and employees of the town shall submit a request for attendance at such meetings, along with an estimate of costs to the town board in advance of such meeting. And be it further resolved that attendees be reimbursed by the town for reasonable budgeted expenses incurred by their attendance at the meeting/training sessions. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Memberships. Resolve that memberships in the professional organizations for 2021 are approved and the required 2021 dues be paid. Okay, yeah, okay, so yeah, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Association of Towns, authority to join and pay dues for training school reappointment of delegate and alternate. Resolved that the town board does hereby approve the continuation of the membership of the Town of Lewisboro in the Association of Towns for 2021 and pay the annual membership dues in the amount of $1,500. And be it further resolved that Supervisor Parsons is hereby reappointed as the 2021 delegate, and Councilman Dan Welsh is hereby reappointed as the 2021 alternate delegate, and are authorized to vote on behalf of the Town of Lewisboro at the annual meeting and training school of the Association of Towns of New York State to be held on February 14th through the 17th, 2021, virtually. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Parks and Recreation, the setting of seasonal salary ranges. Resolved that the 2021 part-time seasonal staff salary ranges as proposed by the Superintendent of Parks and Recreation in a memo dated January 6, 2021, hereby is approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mileage rate set. Resolved that town employees and elected officials shall be reimbursed for use of a personal vehicle for town business when a town-owned vehicle is not available for use at the per mile rate set by the IRS. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Kennel authorization agreement. Resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to sign a one-year agreement for a term expiring December 31st, 2021 between the town and the South Salem Animal Hospital that provides for holding and sheltering dogs in accordance with the provisions of the New York State Agriculture and Market Law, and in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 105 of the Code of the Town of Lewisboro, at a cost of $45 per 24 hours or part thereof, and $37 if dog belongs to the Town of Lewisboro and is waiting to be adopted out. Said approval, subject to council's review of the agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Library, authorization for annual agreement. Resolved that the supervisor be and hereby is authorized to sign the 2021 agreement with the Lewisboro Library. Second, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Designation of official newspaper and alternative. Resolved that the town board does hereby designate the Record Review as the official newspaper for the town of Lewisboro, along with the Journal News, which is a daily paper, as an alternative paper. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Finance designation of banks. Resolved that JP Morgan Chase and Signature Bank are hereby approved as the depositories for town funds during the year 2021. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of bank depository agreements. Resolved that the supervisor hereby is authorized to sign bank depository agreements. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Finance transfer authorization. Resolved that the town supervisor and the town controller are hereby authorized to make transfers of funds not to exceed $10,000 a month among the appropriation lines of the 2021 town budget. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Highway Department authorization to purchase tools. Resolved that pursuant to Section 142 of the Highway Law, the Superintendent of Highways of the Town of Lewisboro is hereby authorized to purchase equipment, tools, and other implements to be used for highway maintenance, construction, or reconstruction during 2021, subject to the limitations of budgetary appropriations and public bidding requirements. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Highway Department agreement to spend funds. Resolved that pursuant to the provision of Section 284 of the Highway Law, the agreement to spend town highway funds budgeted for the year 2021 as presented to the town board by the Superintendent of Highways is hereby approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Highway Department highway estimate and budget. Resolved that the annual highway estimate and budget for 2021 as presented by the Superintendent of Highways hereby is approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting dates set. Resolved that the town board meeting shall normally take place on the second and fourth Mondays of the month. Such meetings will normally be via remote or held at the townhouse, 11 Main Street, South Salem, New York, at 7:30 p.m. Additional meetings will be held as the board deems necessary. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Liaisons. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following set of town board liaisons. Advisory Committee for the Disabled, Jane Crimmins. Architectural and Community Appearance Review Council, Jane Crimmins. Antenna Advisory Board, Tony Gonsalves. Assessor's Office, Tony Gonsalves. Benefits Administration Department, Jane Crimmins. Building Department, Tony Gonsalves. Cable Television Committee, Tony Gonsalves. Conservation Advisory Council, Dan Welsh. Court Clerk's Office, Richard Sclarin. East of Hudson Watershed Corporation, Peter Parsons. Emergency Management Committee, Tony Gonsalves. Finance Department, Peter Parsons. Grants, Jane Crimmins. Highway Department, Richard Sclarin. Housing Committee, Dan Welsh. Katona Lewisboro School Board, Jane Crimmins and Peter Parsons. Labor Negotiations, Richard Sclarin. Landmarks Advisory Committee, Jane Crimmins. Library, Jane Crimmins. Maintenance Department, Peter Parsons. Oak Ridge and Wild Oaks Water Sewer Districts, Tony Gonsalves and Richard Sclarin. Open Space and Preserves Advisory Committee, Dan Welsh. Parks and Recreation Advisory Council, Tony Gonsalves and Peter Parsons. Parks and Recreation Department, Peter Parsons and Tony Gonsalves. Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee, Dan Welsh. Planning Board, Richard Sclarin. Police Department, Tony Gonsalves. Recycling Department, Sustainability Committee, Dan Welsh. Stormwater Management Committee, Dan Welsh. Tax Receiver's Office, Peter Parsons. Town Clerk's Office, Tony Gonsalves. Veterans Advisory Committee, Tony Gonsalves. And Zoning Board of Appeals, Jane Crimmins.
I think that needs a second and then a,
Sorry, I do need a second.
I second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
wow. Congratulations.
Why?
Well
You
done.
finished the list.
Long list.
All right, I would like to open the meeting to public comment. And I would like to make one statement before we get into that. There's been a certain amount of discussion about unleashed dogs in preserves, particularly Leon Levy, I guess, and the town park. Janet Donahue, who supervises our dog officer, and we're together with Dana Maitland, who supervises the preserves, have agreed to get our dog officer to spend a certain amount of time checking those two preserves for people who are breaking the law by unleashing their dogs. People should remember that our dogs officer is a part-time position paid by the hour. So every additional hour she works, we pay more, or the taxpayer pays more. Let's be simple. And I think it's important that people be aware of that as they urge us to spend more on that particular thing. Secondly, I believe we would be better off and more efficient if, when people want to bring an item to the attention of the board or town government, they send us either an email or they call us, and not simply put out messages on social media. I believe it will force people to think more clearly about what their point is. And I think it will simplify the life of the town board and the town clerk and whoever else is involved. That said, I'd like to open the meeting to public comment.
Okay, Peter, right now we have one hand up. I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. Reminder, 2 minutes per comment, and please state the hamlet where you live. Right now I'm asking Jeremy Zittimer to unmute and to share his video if you'd like.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. Jeremy Zittimer in Golden's Bridge. What I'm about to discuss is separate from budget questions. I actually want to use my 2 minutes tonight to read an op-ed from last month's Yorktown Times because it applies perfectly to Lewisboro. So please listen closely. The Yorktown Coalition on Community Safety and Engagement was created as required by New York Executive Order 203. After watching the meeting of the coalition on November 24th, I feel compelled to speak up. There seemed to be some question about what was intended by Executive Order 203. In the order itself, the governor states, quote, "Whereas the foregoing compels me to conclude that urgent and immediate action is needed to eliminate racial inequities in policing, to modify and modernize policing strategies, policies, procedures, and practices, and to develop practices to better address the particular needs of communities of color, to promote public safety, improve community engagement, and foster trust," end quote. It is quite clear that addressing racism is at the heart of this initiative. It's very difficult to do that without first acknowledging that racism exists across the world, across the country, and right here in our town. That is the very first step to addressing the issue, yet it seems to be a difficult one for our community to take. Perhaps that is why it has been insufficiently addressed at the coalition's public meetings. Since it is such an uncomfortable topic, that may explain why when speakers have attempted to address it, they have not always been treated with respect. Anyone who attended the Yorktown March for Civil Justice in June of this year was able to see the courage displayed by the young people of our town who were willing to get up in public to tell their personal stories of experiencing racism right here in Yorktown. Please let their bravery not be in vain. As a longtime Yorktown resident, I greatly appreciate the resolutions that the town board has put forth condemning racism and hatred of all kinds, but that is only a first step. Without further action, we cannot make progress to root out racism right here where we live. It is very important to listen to our community members who have had these experiences and to hear them with compassion and a willingness to learn. I hope that when the coalition drafts its report, it will address the issue of race just as prominently as Executive Order 203 itself does. I would hope that the town board and the police reinvention committee, this is me speaking, I would hope that the town board and the police reinvention committee think about these words, which seem to be pointing to patterns popping up throughout Westchester and throughout New York State, and I think apply to Lewisboro as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Next, I'm asking Barbara Mangione to unmute.
How is that,
and
Jen?
To show your video if you'd like. Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I just have a couple of things. First of all, Happy New Year to everybody. As somebody who follows a lot of the committees, I have brought this to the attention of the town board before, and I have individually emailed some department or committee chairs. And it has to do, again, sorry to sound like a nag, minutes. There are some committees that never put minutes up on the town board website, and I would love to see minutes up there from them. I won't name them. They know who they are. And I know it's really hard and a lot of people have jobs and volunteer, but it would be really great to have all of the committees put their minutes up in a timely fashion. And then the other thing I just want to bring up, if somebody could address it maybe in a future meeting, probably another thing that's not at the best time right now because of the pandemic is where we are as far as a master plan. I know it's been discussed several times throughout 2020, but it seems to have stalled again. And I believe the last time it was updated was 1985. So I kind of think we're long overdue. And since we have a lot of things going on in the community where we've had to have situations where there was some rezoning in Old Golden's Bridge and the also possible implementation of treatment centers it would be nice to maybe at some point start working on that again. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Barbara.
That appears to be it for public comment.
I'd like to close with the public comment period. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
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 I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Peter,
Aye.
I just want to highlight a point on the building department revenue.
I was going to do that later on.
Oh, okay. I thought that was the
I
time to do it. So
assume-
go ahead.
That what we're going to do is congratulate the building department on their result for the year, which is a 37% increase in revenue, and which is the result of an enormous amount of hard work.
Hard work.
Because if you
Yeah.
look at it, it's not huge things coming in, it's a series of little things,
Mhm.
and that means a lot of work. Is that what you were going to say?
Absolutely. And I'd like to
Okay.
thank Joe Angelo and his team for the great work they're doing.
Did we approve the consent agenda? No.
No.
I'd like to propose that we approve it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
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 New business. A resolution I'd like to propose. I don't. Anthony, Tony, can you do the next three items?
Sure.
Or Rich, can you do the next three items? Because they're all giving me authorization to sign. Jane, anybody?
So
Dan.
I'm just going to that section of the
So I
document here.
propose a resolution approving the
Well done.
approving the supervisor to sign the employee assistance program agreement.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I propose a resolution approving the drug abuse prevention council agreement and authorizing the supervisor to sign.
Second,
Second.
All in
discussion?
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I propose a resolution approving the Northeast Westchester Special Recreation Interagency Agreement and authorizing the supervisor to sign. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Incidentally, none of those are huge expenditures. The biggest by far is the Northeast Westchester Special Recreation item, which is $11,387, $6,500 on drug abuse, and $2,500 on the Employee Assistance Program Agreement,
And all
which
of
has
which
to
are
be one of the
continuing.
best values for money I've ever seen. What?
And they're all continuing programs that are.
They're all continuing.
Rolling
Yeah,
over.
nothing is new.
Yeah.
If anybody has now decided they wish to make a public comment, they are welcome to do so now. If
So we're-
not,
We're done with new business on the agenda. Is there anything off the agenda? There was maybe some thoughts about the master plan.
yes, but
Okay.
those are those are dependent on accepting a real estate thing, which will be discussed in executive
So
session.
might I offer though that the idea of starting to solicit interest in serving on the steering
Certainly.
committee is something that we can, go ahead with. The worst case, everything collapses and we have no money to fund it. I mean, we'd have to cancel, but we might as well get the word out there and start receiving those interest emails.
Okay, Dan, we're looking for a select committee, I think, of about 5 people
Yes. So
to be the key steering group, not to write the whole darn thing, but to act at the helm and to represent the whole of Lewisboro and not just individual parts of Lewisboro.
that's right. So I sent out a draft for kind of a piece for that solicitation, just a little while before we started. But that was the gist of it. I can even put it up on the screen if you like.
Okay.
Yep.
When I do that, can I
That's a
share
good
my
idea.
screen? Can somebody let me do that? Janet? Could
Yep,
you-
I'm saying share screen.
Okay. Oop, I'm still getting the disabled. Mess.
Joel,
Well, in fact,
got it.
after the executive session, it will be obvious that we have ample money to go forward on the master plan.
All right.
And it's my intention to present that to the town board, and they can turn me down, but I'll
So,
be upset if they do.
so this is just an idea, a draft for something to put out there to solicit interest in participating in the steering committee. And as you said, these folks on the steering committee would not be, tasked with the complete creation of the plan, but they're the point, the home base and the point of continuity and organization. So I've got a few bullets here, which would be their kind of their chief description of their role. There's got to be a lot of community meetings. We have to identify those different organizations and sectors, and hold those meetings, collect the input from them. There's undoubtedly going to want to be some subcommittees ultimately that come out of this. So if there's an interest in, I don't know, communications, well, maybe there's already, we get the committee for that, but some other aspect of the plan, which, there would be a kind of a dedicated topic. We might want to pull in a couple of more people and have a little subcommittee. So they would kind of ride herd over those subcommittees and keep those organized. Ultimately, we'll have to end up with a request for proposals for a planning consultant as well. And they can help with searching out the best models for those and helping with the drafting of that, and then coordinating the work of that consultant, and all the while regularly reporting progress to us. And I'm sure there's, that list can be refined and everything, but this is just to give the folks who would apply for this an idea of the scope of the work. And it came to me also as I was thinking about this, that in addition to these 5, we might best think about budgeting for some staff member hours to support them, and perhaps collating this information and scribing for them, because we'll want to really make sure that everything's captured and we're using town systems to store everything, and so the connection to the town will be kind of important. So,
and the minutes will be very important piece to Barbara, and we really do need minutes of the meetings.
right. So we can talk
And
in executive session about whether there's somebody on staff that we could approach to see if they want to do this or not. But I think having a continuity there and professional support is also an assurance to the folks who are volunteering that there's already a lot to do on this committee, that they will have somebody to help with that piece. So they're not here to to do the clerical piece of it. So anyway, if people have ideas about editing this and refining it, I would ask if people want to approve, contingent on any final edit suggestions anyone has, that we release this and start collecting those submissions from people who are interested in taking this on.
Dan, because of your long-term interest in this, I think that you might be the obvious person to chair this steering committee.
Chair it. that would be.
Or do you
okay.
just want to be a troublemaker?
I would do either, but I almost think this is an opportunity to bring in someone who's really fired up about this and to chair and, you know, really dive into this. And I'm happy to be their Sancho Panza and support them, you know, for all that. So not that I wouldn't be actually excited and interested in doing it, but I think we have some great resources and great people out there, and I'm happy to, you know, let somebody grab this and run and, you know, try to do everything I can to make them and our efforts a success.
Yeah,
Okay.
Did you
I
mean as a
agree with Dan.
liaison, not a chair?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's,
Did
yeah.
you mean that Dan would make sense as a liaison? When you said
No,
chair?
I meant as a chair.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought
I
that
agree.
was.
Yeah, I agree on the liaison model and let the committee, you know, take
Well,
the helm.
the master plan is important enough
Mhm.
that any member of the town board has to be welcome at any meeting.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
So the concept of liaison, fine, but it's a slightly, it'll be a
much more
weird
engagement. Yeah. And
liaison.
right. Oh, I also put in here, and I gave a quick call to our planning board chair just to check in. I put in here that one of these 5 members should be deputed from the planning board. So that's.
Did she agree?
Yes, she liked that idea. And she liked the word deputed because it might be one of them, or, you know, if not, then maybe it's you know, someone that has previously served or something like that on the planning board, but they'll have the flexibility with that.
Okay. Anything else on this item?
Do we need to do a resolution to issue this, or is this this doesn't constitute a legislative act per se? It's just soliciting interest. So if everybody's
Okay, yes.
if the sense of the board
Let's
is
make a
okay,
motion to solicit interest from people who would wish to serve on the master plan steering committee, which will be based on the document which Dan has just presented, after some of the grammar is being collected and typos are being changed.
It looks pretty good to me, actually.
What,
Great job,
you
Ken.
reckon we could actually do the entire master plan in 2 months?
no, he said my
No, I'm saying
grammar
the
looks
document.
okay.
This document that Dan put together, it's a good initial stab at what we need to
Yes,
do.
I was joking around, but it does suggest that the entire master plan can be done in 2 months.
2 months.
Which-
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's supposed to be years.
Ah,
Which kind of amused me. That's all.
No, 18 months to 2
18
years. Yeah. 2
Okay.
years. Missing the years word. Okay.
All right. I was just
And
having
this-
fun at your
and this is
expense,
something
Dan.
As amended.
this is something that we can start, you know, assuming everything goes well, and we'll know shortly. We can kick this off fairly quickly. in
Yes.
terms of
Yeah,
putting this
I
committee
think,
together.
look, there's nothing stopping us from issuing this, starting to interview people, because we know that takes time.
Mhm.
And, you know, in parallel, we're wrapping up the, you know, whatever it is around the financing.
Right.
And, you know, let's just get this thing rolling.
Do you need to establish the committee, or that's after we get interest in interview?
That's a good point. I'm sure we'd have to go through that process. And we could, I don't see why, you know, nothing stops us from interviewing people at any time for anything. So I you know, and Greg, you can correct us if we're,
It's a matter of right now, sorry, Dan, you're just soliciting interest right now. So
Yes.
you don't necessarily have to establish the committee at this point. At some point you will, after you gauge the interest and go through the
yeah,
potential candidates.
maybe we'll learn something in our interviews that'll cause us to refine our thinking a little bit that can go into the ultimate creation statement. So that'll come.
All right. I would like to propose that we approve claims.
So
Do I have a
Peter, can I
What?
just interrupt? Did you
Yes.
make a resolution for that or not?
Oh. I think sort of.
I
kinda
think
did.
sort of, yes.
Want to repeat
So
it?
all those in favor?
Well,
Aye.
who was the second?
Well,
So Peter,
Dan.
you made a resolution.
I
Dan
second.
did the second. Okay.
so it's a motion to,
To issue the solicitation for interest in
For
participating.
people who want to
Steering committee.
serve.
okay.
So
All right, so second.
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
okay.
I'd like to propose that we approve claims. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second,
Discussion, all in favor? Aye.
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 I'd like to announce that the next town board meeting will be on Tuesday, January the 25th, 2021 at 7:30 at the Townhouse, 11 Main Street, South Salem.
Oh, no,
Um,
it's virtually, sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was reading the script you'd given me. It will be on Tuesday, January 21st, 2021 at 7:30 virtually.
Correct.
I'd like to poll the board. Rich, seeing as you're new, but you've never been shy of words.
Actually, since we have a lot to go through, I'm going to be sparing in my words. Wish everybody a happy new year and happy to be aboard.
Jane,
Same. Happy New Year, everybody.
Dan,
welcome, Rich. And I will add to that. I sent a note out about to at least to Peter and I think Joel have seen it about the electric vehicle chargers, and that's heating up. And we actually, it looks like, Tony, is that pretty firm down at?
Yeah, it's not firm yet, but let's yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
wait another week or so.
We've been working on the shopping centers for it, and we should have some news from those pretty soon. But the offering has just
is that, you said shopping center. Do you mean shopping centers or just Golden's Bridge?
we're also, I got a call into Phil Pine, and he's very interested out
Okay,
there. So we're going to be doing a site visit there and look at what would make sense for there. But the deal is so good these days that in, I think, most cases, it actually is net positive cash. In other words, they're basically paying you to put these things in. So it seems to me,
you being the shopping center owner, right?
well, that's right. So the shopping centers, or it would also be the case for the town, as far as I know. So I think what we want to do is get a list of locations for town properties. Like I can see having a couple of units at the library, right? You know, the library town campus would make sense. And maybe even at Onatru, you know, for people parking there for various events and everything. So if we could get with, you know, Joel or you, Peter, and decide, you know, what are the best locations for these, I can bring in the fellow to do the site visits and get a proposal on the table for it.
I think Joel is the person we need to work with on this.
Okay. So I will-
Because one of the requirements, of course, is that you have power to charge the cars.
yeah, sure. That's you obviously the proximity to connection points and available capacity of the circuit and everything are factors, and that's why the site visit is important for sure.
Tony.
So I'll check in with Joel on that, and then I would just suggest that the sooner we can get an update from Leo on where the finances look, the better. That would be interesting. I mean, I guess it's a little early for some of the tax stuff to come in, but it's a harrowing time. So whatever he has would be welcome.
Truthfully, the big unknown is sales tax.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And until we have a mortgage tax, because I doubt if you can take different points of view on mortgage tax. You can say it's going to be as good as last year, which is, I think, what we said in the budget, or it may be somewhat weaker than last year. I doubt if it's going to be better. Those are the two biggest unknowns, are mortgage and sales.
When do we typically get those figures in?
You get them in halfway through the year, and again, sales tax, no, is more frequent.
Yeah, I thought that was like February or something.
Yeah, I think it's 4 times a year
Quarterly.
we get sales tax, but mortgage tax is twice a year. And the bad thing about mortgage tax is the second installment. We're just about to get the second installment for 2020 now.
But I guess so beyond the receipts, there's also just maybe actuals on the expenses and things like that would be good to get an update on.
For last year, you're talking about. Okay. I think you'll find we're in reasonably good shape for last year. I'm far more worried about the year we're beginning right now.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's all for me.
Tony.
I have a few things from Parks and Rec. So first of all, we want to thank everyone who participated in the Light Up Lewisboro. It certainly brightened up December for a lot of people. Lewisboro First Day. We'd like to thank all who participated, including all the groups that provided COVID-safe activity for the town, including the Lewisboro Lions Club, Lewisboro Land Trust, Lewisboro Garden Club, Lewisboro Playground Project, Horse and Hound, and Maureen Cole, our historian. We had about just under 200 people who took advantage of the offerings that day. Sorry?
Did I miss something?
Oh, who's? Okay, I'll skip that. And I'd like to, okay, another item for Parks and Rec is we'd like to thank Eagle Scout candidates Ryan Parker for his horseshoe pit and 2 cornhole fields, plus 2 benches and a lending library out at Onachua near the community gardens, and Clayton Hadlock for updating the camping platforms at the town park. Both projects were very well done. There's a restaurant initiative that Parks and Rec is working on in the near future, so stay tuned for that. Senior adults are meeting on Zoom. Even if you don't have a computer or a phone, you can call, or a smartphone, you can call in and get some weekly socialization for our most vulnerable population during the pandemic. Call Pam Veith at the Recreation Office for information. And Parks and Rec are starting a new Snow Angel program to help seniors during snowstorms clear their walks, access their mailboxes, dust off their cars, clear up the end of their driveways. If interested in participating or interested in being on the receiving end of that, please contact the Parks and Rec department. And that is it. All I have for, a couple of other things actually. Yeah, so after Tropical Storm Isaias, we had an issue with the Cross River cell phone tower. The service went out because there wasn't any backup power for the Verizon antennas. I'm pleased to inform everyone that Verizon has installed a permanent generator, so that issue should not happen again. And also AT&T, we scrambled to get their permit accepted or permit application approved before the end of the quarter, while they still had budget money for installing their antennas on the Cross River Tower. And that permit was issued December 31st, 2020. So hopefully we'll get AT&T on that tower first quarter of the year. Wait for nothing.
And a thank you to Joe for pushing that through in sort of record time.
It took a lot of work. As a matter of fact, I had a conversation with the person from AT&T. He said it took us 2 weeks to do this. It took Chappaqua 2 years. So kudos to Joe and everyone involved. And that's all I have. Happy New Year, everyone.
Here.
I'd just like to welcome Greg and welcome Rich to our town board. And hope that you find it amusing and interesting.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks to everybody. It's good to be here. Happy New Year to everybody.
I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss real estate and appointments to committees. Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion?